Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TB. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories at this hour. The Borno State Governor, Babangana Zulum, warns that terror group Boko Haram is once again gaining the upper hand in Nigeria's northeast. Court sets new date in Inspector General of Police's defamation suit against activist Omoyele Sowore. Plus, Rwanda commemorates 31st anniversary of 1994 genocide that claimed 800,000 lives. Details shortly. And we begin the news in Nigeria's northeast, where Governor Babangana Zulum has broken his silence, insisting that the renewed Boko Haram attacks and kidnappings in many communities almost on daily basis without confrontation signals that the government is losing ground. The governor stated this on Tuesday at a special expanded security meeting attended by the major stakeholders. He said his administration has been very supportive of the military in the fight against Boko Haram and other terrorists, leading to relative peace in the last 3 years. But he lamented that the recent attacks and dislodgement of military formations in at least 2 key local government areas, among other related killings of innocent civilians and security agencies, calls for serious concern and a setback not just the state but also in the region. Still on security matters, the village head of Houthi in Boko's local government area of Plateau has alleged that gunmen killed 40 persons and displaced more than 1,000 residents during an attack. Maran Arandong said this when the secretary to the Plateau State Government, SSG, led a team of government officials on an assessment visit to the community on Sunday in Jos. On April 2nd, gunmen attacked Houthi, Josho, and Dafo, and other communities of the locality. Governor Caleb Mufwang had described the killings as coordinated crimes sponsored by conflict merchants, rather the result of a farmer-header clash. Speaking during the visit, Jatu commiserated with the families who lost their loved ones during the attack and called on the federal government to also provide support for the displaced persons. And joining us now from Plateau is the Plateau State, from the Plateau State capital, Jos, is Solomon Dilioyop. He's the national president of the Berom Youth Association. Well, Solomon, many thanks for joining us. Let's just get started, shall we? So, if we're not mistaken, you were on this trip to Bokos, the local government area. Tell us, what did you find?
Well, the situation in Plateau, particularly Kurti village of Bokos local government area on the Plateau, is very pathetic because of the banditry activities of the headers who invaded villages and communities of Hurti. About 15 villages were simultaneously attacked, and over 6,000 people have been displaced and rendered homeless. Presently, as at yesterday, when we visited the Hurti as a community headquarters, we found not less than 2,000 people, mostly women and children. And of course, from the score recorded, we found in Hurti alone, they had a mass burial of over 40 people aside other villages and communities nearby that were affected. So the situation there is very, very pathetic, and it calls for necessary attention and other measures to be taken for these people to actually go back to their ancestral home state. Of course, we were able to witness the presence of security, but of course that cannot be adequate because there are villages and communities that have been sacked. Everything was razed down and there's no presence of security in that place. And of course, rainy season has set in, and without the presence of security and relief materials provided, particularly food and shelter for the people to return to their ancestral home state, it will add to the existing number of lands that have been grabbed on the plateau. Just as at last year, December, we had a record of 151 villages that have been uprooted and are currently under the occupation of the attackers. And of course, if there is no deployment of security to to those areas that have been uprooted, it will still add to the very number of villages and communities that have been taken over by the bandits. So it calls for government speeded action.
And I have to ask at this point, what exactly caused the latest round of killings? How can this unjust act be addressed?
Well, from our findings, there's no any reason known to us or justified by law to have warranted these killings. But of course, from what we found out, what actually happened is that people were observing their mourning over the loss of their relative. That was on the 27th day of March. And then the attackers came in and attacked the mourners, where about 12 people were killed. And then after that one, as if that wasn't enough, of course, they were arrests made. And then according to the information available to us, the attackers felt that their leaders were arrested as a result of the first attack. And on that note, they came, to kind of revenge on the native over the arrest that was made by the security agents. And then, of course, the question to be asked there is that what is a connection between the arrest made by security agents based on the available intelligence gathered that these are the people fingered in the attack, and then the locals who were there without provoking anything or giving any reason for the attack to have been meted out on them. And then lo and behold, a coordinated attack on over 15 villages were carried out simply because of the arrests that were effected by military. So that is the reason, best known to us. That is what informed the recent attack on the native of Houthi. And then it is uncalled for. This is, as far as we are concerned, is an obvious act of terrorism and banditry that has been meted out, which calls for necessary military action to be carried out so that these bad elements are dislodged from that general area. Not only that general area, including neighboring local governments like Mangu, Riom, and Barkiladi. Of course, because we have seen the influx of these attackers moving from that Bokos area into the nearby local government, which may trigger another violent eruption if proactive measures are not taken.
Now, we understand that you had there was a meeting that you were privy to, right? With some youth leaders, right? Last Friday, as well as with the Commissioner of Police. What are the next steps to be taken? What were the steps that were discussed there?
Of course, the security will always appeal that people should exercise calmness. People shouldn't take the law into their hands. That has always been the expression from the authority. But of course, it's not all about people. Of course, the people have maintained calmness, but the people are anticipating justice, and that is what part of the resolution of that meeting, that we are clamoring for justice for these innocent people killed. And of course, since there are arrests have been made, previously before now, such arrests will be made, and then we will hear order from above that the suspect will transfer to Abuja after a week or so. We see them released, and that is what the information that is circulating on the plateau, that even the recent arrests that have been made, there are also calls from the authority that of course they should be released of these individuals who have been arrested in connection with this attack and who have been the supplier of arms and ammunition to the attackers. And then how will these people be arrested? And what about the lives of people killed? Will they be restored? Will there be, we cannot talk about restitution of lives because lives have already been lost. And then, of course, what can actually allay the fears and the concern registered by people is to ensure that there is justice. These people are arraigned. They are subjected to the wrath of the law. At least that will go a long way in not only bringing justice, but will also, be a deterrent to the people that have this kind of inclination. Terrorism is what the law frowns at. It's what the law, globally it is condemned. It is condemnable. So why should there be an exception to it in Nigeria, particularly on the plateau, when we've seen our people massacred on cold blood, children, women, aged. What have they done to deserve this, pogrom?
Right. I mean, Plateau State has enjoyed relative peace recently, in recent times. The governor has now said that this is not about farmer-herder clashes, and there's so much more at play here. Do you agree?
Of course. Absolutely agree that what is happening on the plateau can never be herders-farmers clash. The herders are also into farming. We've never seen them destroying their farm crops. We've never seen them raising arms against themselves. And then farmers have never raised arms against themselves. So it can never be herders-farmers clash. This is pure act of terrorism. People who are sleeping, people who are mourning their loved ones, people who have not done any act of provocation, and terror is unleashed on them, the genocide, massacring of people, in broad daylight and even at night, without any conflict, coming in between them, without any justifiable, reasons that this is the cause of it. Even if at all there is any reason as to why terror attacks should be, maybe if there is any provocation, shouldn't the law be allowed to take its course? Shouldn't there be a report to the appropriate authorities for proper investigation? But some people, just because they want to take over the land, they don't want, the declaration by the federal government, and under this administration of President Bola Tinubu declaring, a state of emergency on food security. They don't want Bokos and Plateau people who have largely been contributing agriculturally to witness bumper harvest this year. Because of course, from our own experiences, what we have observed over time is that whenever rainy season is setting in, this same terrorist element will come in to ensure that people don't cultivate their farmlands. And of course, it has largely affected food security in the country. And that's why we are calling on the federal government to maintain its stance that declaration of emergency on food security should stand, and therefore a war on terrorism should be intensified. And this bad element on the plateau should be dislodged. Not only on the plateau, wherever terrorism is being carried out, is being meted out on innocent people, government should rise up to its responsibility and ensure that there is an end to this, ignoble task that
all right,
Fulani militants and other terrorist elements have already declared in this country.
All right. I mean, Solomon, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us and just giving us a bit of insight following that meeting, that high-level meeting that was held on Sunday. Once again, thank you, Solomon Dalyup. He is the national president of Burum Youth Association, just giving us a bit of insight following the attacks in Boko's local government area. We'll switch gears from Jos Plateau State to Anambra State, where the state chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is presently holding its governorship primary election in anticipation of the November 8th gubernatorial poll in the state. 990 delegates currently undergoing accreditation are expected to choose the flag bearer, who will join other party candidates in seeking the mandate of Anambra State residents on November 8th, 2025 across the 21 local government areas of the state. News Central's Austin Azu was on ground reporting live from Awka, the Anambra State capital, and notes that the presence of security personnel, INEC monitoring team, observers, and the PDP National Electoral Panel were at the event venue. And joining me now live from Awka, Anambra is Austin Azu. Austin, thanks so much for joining us. You have been there the entire day for the process or the exercise or the primaries for the PDP. Tell us the full account of today. What happened over there?
Good evening to you, Judith. Earlier on, the 999 delegates from the 21 local government areas of Anambra State converged here at this particular Dora Akiole Women Development Center here in Awka. And that particular hall you are seeing over there is where the delegates converged and they done their accreditation. Thereafter, they went inside the hall and they went to the ballot. Of course, there was a sole aspirant for this primary election, and that's Jude as a 1-4. And at the end of the exercise, of course, the results were announced by the returning officer, that's Connor. and he pulled about 798 votes, and the total number of accredited delegates was 853, and they will have 29 void votes. They just finished the announcement, and everyone has gone out of this place. The only people remaining here now are just the security agencies who are trying to find their way outside these premises. The election was seamless and it was very fast, unlike what we had in other parties where it was delayed. But this time around, it was just a one-way ticket, and of course, it was voted either yes or no. And it's expected that in the coming days that the candidates of the PDP will hit the ground running to begin to make fences. And of course, you know quite well that some people left the party some time ago to go to other parties to go and contest. So he, according to his inaugural speech, that he's going to make fences, ensure he's able to bring those people back, that they will work closely to ensure they're able to return back to the government house as soon as possible. I haven't left government house for almost 20 years.
All right. Well, Austin, many thanks. We appreciate you for coming on. Austin Azu there from the grounds there for the PDP primaries in Awka, Anambra State. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, the federal government tasks state-owned enterprises to lead the charge towards achieving a $1 trillion economy. We have the details just after the break. Join us again. And welcome back. Let's bring you the latest on the trial of civil rights activist Omoyele Sowore, which has been adjourned to June 24th, 2025. The adjournment follows the appearance of a prosecution witness presented by the counsel to the Inspector General of Police. The witness, a superintendent of police attached to the force headquarters, told the court he has been monitoring Sowore's social media activities since December of 2024. According to him, Sowore repeatedly referred to the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, as an illegal IGP. Counsel to Sowore requested an adjournment to allow time for cross-examination of the witness. The presiding judge, Justice Musa Lima, granted the application and adjourned the matter to June 24 for continuation of trial.
Look at their witness. Their witness for 10 minutes said, oh, we saw a social media post that says the IG is illegal. That's all. And they asked him to go and monitor that. Muyiwa asked him to go and be monitoring my post. Is it a crime to post on social media that an IG that has already expired is illegal? He's occupying the office illegally. That was why the judge himself was saying, why don't we respond? But we are not here to respond. We have told him this is all rubbish. This case ought not to have come before a court, but we know what they are doing. They are all in bed together. The judiciary, the police, the legislative arm of Nigeria, they are all in bed together to deny our people justice. How can anybody have confidence in the judiciary? Don't you know that this same court here tried me for 5 years for treason, an offense that I never committed, and one day they came to court and said, we are sorry. They didn't even say we are sorry. They withdrew the charges after 5 years. But they wasted 5 years of my life. They detained me in this Abuja by a court order for 3 years. 3 years. Received my passport for 5 years. That is the same thing they are doing now. So how can I have confidence in the court that couldn't tell at that time, at the beginning of that farcical trial, that this was improper? The judge should have known that there's no case here. He should have thrown the case out from day one.
Political matters. The Rivers State political crisis began in 2023 and marked by a significant incident where the House of Assembly complex was allegedly set ablaze, forcing lawmakers to relocate their sessions. The controversy surrounding the burning of the Assembly building has led to a back and forth of accusations and counter-accusations as well as arrest. This incident has been a vocal point in the ongoing power struggle between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. The situation remains tense, with various stakeholders weighing in on the matter. In the meantime, 4 men previously acquitted of involvement in the 2024 Rivers State House of Assembly fire are sounding the alarm, claiming they are being pressured to falsely implicate Edison Ehi, the chief of staff to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, in the arson incident.
We address you today as citizens, indigents, and residents of Rivers State who feel a need to set records straight in the light of the goings in our state and who became victims due to no fault of ours. Even after our ordeal and when we thought we could return to normal life, only a week ago, one of us was called by a PDP leader in Obiakpo, Lawrence Amadi, to come and meet with some of their leaders. Upon further prodding, he said they were reaching out to us to persuade us to rewrite our story in order to implicate Right Honorable Edison Ehie as the sponsor or mastermind of the fire incident at the State House of Assembly complex, as a follow-up to former head of service George Nweke's press briefing in Abuja. This has prompted us to speak out as we do not want to be part of any nefarious act, especially after the torture we faced. For 6 to 8 months, we endured an unjust harrowing experience in the hands of security agencies and political actors. Our offense was because we refused to frame individuals, including the Chief of Staff to the Rivers State Government House, Right Honorable Edison Ehie, as masterminds behind the Rivers State House of Assembly infamy.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has reportedly hosted the suspended Rivers State House of Assembly lawmakers in the United Kingdom. The Minister's Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media, Larry Olayinka, in a post on X.com on Tuesday, said the lawmakers who are in the UK for, quote, legislative capacity building were hosted to a dinner by the Minister. The 5-day tour, which kicked off in central London, is designed to deepen the lawmakers' understanding of parliamentary practices. The 2027 general election in Nigeria is fast approaching, and the major political parties are already gearing up for the crucial polls. News Central's Igbalaniyi Omoniyi assesses the permutations as the ruling All Progressives Congress APC is seeking to consolidate its hold on power, while the opposition parties are exploring various strategies, including potential mergers and alliances, to unseat the incumbent government.
The All Progressives Congress APC, which has been in power since 2015, has faced criticism over its handling of various issues, including insecurity, economic challenges, and allegations of corruption.
Clear abuse of power, clear abuse of privileges, cutting across from the three arms of government, from the executive to the parliament to the judiciary. And I always plead with our people that whatever we do affects everybody.
However, the party remains confident in its ability to secure another term, banking on its achievements in areas such as infrastructure development and social welfare programs.
It is difficult to predict and say in the next 6 months or in the next 1 year, everything will change. However, it is a kind of policy that you are convinced that in the long run, we are going to have a total turnaround. But in the meantime, the interventions of government, in one area or the other, has given succor or is giving succor to Nigeria in many respects.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, the main opposition force, is working to regain its footing after a series of internal crises and defections.
I love this party.
The party's fortunes may hinge on the role played by Nyesom Wike, the current FCT minister and former governor of Rivers State, who has been at loggerheads with the party's leadership. The Labour Party, LP, which gained momentum with Peter Obi as its candidate, having come third in the 2021 presidential election, still battles leadership crisis, making many doubt its strength to compete effectively.
Let it be known within the Federation and beyond that there is no vacuum in the leadership of Labour Party.
Rumors of potential mergers with other opposition parties surge as the Labour Party have been circulating, fueling speculation about the formation of a formidable coalition against the APC.
Are we seeing this united front go ahead into the 2027 general election, thus assuming is the birth of a major opposition against the APC? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
There is also speculation of merger between top political figures such as Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar in the Social Democratic Party SDP.
The people who are saying they want to coalesce now, they don't even have any party that's agreeing to demarket, to deregister himself into them. They're just shopping for where they're going to contest the election. One of them hopefully will get it, and what will happen, knowing them, a few of them will go and do deals with the ruling party, another said will jump out and say they want to go and take another position.
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has embarked on a formulation of its election project plan in preparation for the 2027 general election. Ultimately, the success of the various political parties will depend on their ability to present compelling visions for the country's future, addressing pressing issues and garner support of the electorate. In Lagos, for News Central, Igbalani Omani.
Nigeria's federal government has reiterated its commitment to strengthening diplomatic and economic ties with the Kingdom of Sweden. This was as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugor, received the Crown Princess of Sweden, Victoria Ingrid, as part of her official tour to Nigeria. Tugor says that the collaboration will deepen mutual cooperation in areas of trade and investment, infrastructural development, information and communications, technology, amongst several other areas. In the meantime, Nigeria's federal government has tasked state-owned enterprises to lead the charge towards achieving an ambitious goal of $1 trillion economy. Now, this was during a forum convened by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated in Abuja with heads of key finance agencies of government. One key highlight of the session was the launch of the MOFI Governance Scorecard, a crucial tool for entrenching transparency and accountability during operations of the agencies. News Central's Sumaya Abubakar report.
In attendance were senior officials of government curled from the nation's finance sector. The forum, hosted by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, hosted state-owned enterprises crucial for achieving the nation's economic ambitions. The MOFI Corporate Governance Scorecard was unveiled, designed to boost transparency and efficiency in these key entities.
It is for you a very, very competitive and stiff examination of the health of your organization as far as its management, its policies, its administrative procedures, and the way it goes about its business.
We are going to appoint a third party that will do the assessment in an independent and objective way. And what is going to happen is that we ourselves as MOFI are going to subject ourselves to the same assessment.
Some in attendance say that the success of the scorecard will depend on consistent action and monitoring to drive real change within these key economic players.
At the moment, the private sector operators or the private sector owners sense the fact that government is indifferent about what they have put in here. They take advantage of it. We need to be active wherever we put our money.
So we had already pivoted economic strategy to equity, to raising revenue, particularly from state-owned enterprises that are revenue earning and that owe the government either surplus or even directly revenues. We're focusing on automation to assist in efficient gathering of what belongs to government.
The MOFI scorecard is a key step towards achieving an ambitious $1 trillion economy for Nigeria. Many here believe that with effective implementation, Nigeria will be placed on the right track to prosperity. In Abuja, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
Nigeria's persistent electric power crisis is a challenge that continues to impact millions of homes and stifle economic development across the country. Now, despite decades of reforms and significant investment, electricity generation and distribution remain grossly inadequate. The national grid, designed to supply about 5,000 megawatts of power, often struggles to provide even half of that. consistently. News Central's Bettina Onweli reports.
In the heart of Africa's largest economy, a quiet struggle continues, one that affects every home, every school, every factory, a struggle for light. Despite being rich in energy resources, oil, gas, sun, and wind, Nigeria still grapples with a basic need, reliable electricity. With over 220 million people, Nigeria has an installed electricity generation capacity of about 13,000 megawatts, but only 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts are available on most days. That's less than what New York City alone consumes, yet it must serve an entire nation.
Before the present administration got in, we were hovering around between less than 4,000 megawatts. The last time we had a celebration of a major issue like this was around 1984 when we had about 2,000 megawatts, and within that period to date, till this administration took over, we had about 4,000 megawatts. That's over 40 years to achieve 4,000 megawatts. Before now, it wasn't always like that. We had so many challenges, the economy had so many challenges, but today, these are gradually being reduced.
Grid collapses, blackouts, endless generator noise. For many Nigerians, power outages are not an inconvenience, they are a way of life. According to the World Bank, the country loses a staggering $29 billion every year due to unreliable electricity. Homes and businesses spend heavily annually on fuel for generators. The environment suffers, the economy suffers, and the people suffer most.
Currently, the current rate is not even convenient, and then electricity is not even consistent, so we still use the regular generators and all that to operate our businesses. And since the increase in fuel and now the new increase in electricity is definitely going to affect we producers and therefore also affect the consumers in turn.
It's getting to a point whereby people will fix their lights in the night, remove it in the morning, because they are trying to cut costs. So the increase is already killing. It's telling on the business, things are expensive, people are no longer finding it funny, people are dying, people are suffering.
Presently, the effects on businesses and even on the residents, for us to load the card, before you know it, under 1 hour, the card will be exhausted. So the government should think about it before increasing the tariff.
The issues are layered, from poor infrastructure to aging transmission lines, gas shortages, and regulatory lapses. The privatization of the power sector in 2013 was meant to improve things, but a decade later, many of the electricity distribution companies remain inefficient and financially weak. In 2023 alone, the national grid collapsed 6 times. In 2024, it was reported to have collapsed 12 times. Each time, over 100 million people were left in total darkness.
Let's not forget where this whole thing is coming from, and that is that there's a liquidity crisis in the entire value chain. So it is that state who, through law and regulation, that can attract investments that will win this race. Because what all these portend is that states will perhaps begin to grow at their own pace. So if a state decides I'll give priority and give all the instruments it can to encourage investors to come in, to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity.
The road to power reform is long but not impossible. With the right commitment, Nigeria can go from darkness to light, not just for the few, but for all. Because every Nigerian deserves to flip a switch and trust that the light will come on. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, 9 out of 12 teachers with criminal records and sexual offenses remain employed in schools in South Africa. We'll bring you more of that after the break. Join us again. Rwanda on Monday commemorated the 1994 genocide that claimed the lives of at least 800,000 people, mostly from the Tutsi community, who were massacred by the Hutu militia. Speaking at the event, Kagame assured that the genocide will never happen in Rwanda again, not because those who planned and facilitated it will not try to do so again, but because Rwandans have chosen to stand together and so that it can never happen again. In 2014, the United Nations and the African Union designated April 7 as a day of remembrance for the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. News Central's correspondent Bogani Ziziba has more on this story.
The day started with the Flame of Hope at the Genocide Memorial as thousands gathered to commemorate the 31st anniversary of genocide that claimed the lives of nearly 1 million people. Each year, this day serves as a powerful reminder of resilience and hope that unite the Rwandan people.
What happened here 30-something years ago will never happen again. It won't be because of those who are responsible for that dark past will not try again or are not even trying now again. It will not happen again just because there will be people who will stand up and fight.
Here at the Genocide Memorial, memories of those who were brutally killed for their ethnicity are preserved. It's a sacred place that honors the past while instilling a strong sense of purpose for the future. Speaking at the poignant gathering, Rwandan President Paul Kagame reaffirmed the resolve of his people. He declared he will not fold his hands against those who threaten the peace and unity of Rwandese people.
So you Rwandans, why don't you die fighting? Instead of dying anyway, just dying like flies. Why?
Kagame's words echoes the spirit of resilience that has transformed Rwanda from the ashes of its dark past into the beacon of hope for Africa and the world. He further emphasized the importance of standing firm against external influences that seek to exploit division within the continent.
The world has gone amok, but in the midst of all that, we have to live. We have to live our lives, we have to fight for that, we have to live the way we want. And I tell anybody to his face to go to hell. If anyone comes around and thinks they can, they come and say, hey, we're going to sanction you. To what? Go to hell. Just go to hell.
President Kagame urged African leaders to rise above manipulation by Western powers, encouraging unity and self-determination among nations. His call for solidarity resonates beyond Rwanda. It is a clarion call for all Africa.
But my message goes to other Africans who live like this on a daily basis, who are dehumanized, and they accept it and they beg. I can't beg to live.
As the people of Rwanda stand together, their collective strength speaks volumes. They are not just commemorating the past, they are refusing to be defined by moving forward, building a nation grounded in hope, resilience, and unwavering commitment to peace. For News Central, Bongani Siziba.
In South Africa, Gauteng education member of Executive Committee Matume Cholune has revealed that 9 out of 12 teachers with criminal records for sexual offenses remain employed in schools despite vetting protocols. 7 of them teach in primary schools, while 5 are placed at special schools. Over the past 3 years, 40 teachers have been convicted of sexual crimes, with 1 still working under a final written warning. Meanwhile, there are calls for the Minister of Police, Sunzu Chunu's resignation following his comments on the rape case of a 7-year-old who allegedly raped at one of the schools in Eastern Cape. And joining us now is education activist Hendrik Makanita, and he joins us to unpack the accountability failures and the way forward for education in South Africa. Hendrik, many thanks for doing this with us. Let's just get started, shall we? What current measures are in place for screening teachers' backgrounds? Let's start there. Before they are hired, especially regarding criminal records and sexual offences.
Definitely, before teachers can be hired, there is a procedure that they have to undertake where they submit their qualifications as well as a police clearance. The police clearance, gives the authorities an assurance that the teacher is fit for purpose, is a fit and proper person who can be able to stand in front of learners and conduct teaching and learning. So that is one of the procedures that is available. But unfortunately, it is done only once. So it is not an ongoing procedure. Teachers only register once, and then once they're in the system, that's it.
Well, very quickly, in your opinion, what are the long-term effects on students when educators with criminal records remain in the classroom? Very quickly, because we're pressed for time.
It creates anxiety, and the state of learners not being able to feel free when they are with teachers who have got criminal records in their system, because even parents do not know what can really happen to their children. Remember, in terms of the duty of care, in the absence of parents, teachers automatically become parents, and therefore teachers have got a duty to look after the general well-being of all our learners. But if teachers, are not cleared, or if they've got a criminal record, that creates a problem. Uncertainty, as I've said, and the fact that no parent can really feel free to learn that their teacher has got a criminal record, especially when it comes to issues of sexual harassment. We all want our children to be safe at all times.
Well, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us and give us a bit of insight there. Hendrik, many thanks, Hendrik, just giving us a more insight regarding a report that 9 out of 12 teachers in South Africa have criminal records and are still in classrooms. Well, that's all we can take at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The Borno State Governor, Babangana Zulum, has warned that terror group Boko Haram is once again gaining the upper hand in Nigeria's northeast. The court has set new date in Inspector General of Police's defamation suit against frontline activist Omoyele Sowore. And we also told you that Rwanda is commemorating the 31st anniversary of the 1994 genocide that claimed 800,000 lives. Now, do remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, or better yet, just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.